Hey guys, excuse my beautiful hair. It's really wet and rainy down here. I'm down in Indy because tomorrow is my granddaughter's number 2 birthday. So we came down as a family, my 2 daughters and my grandson and my son-in-law, and we're gonna go celebrate tomorrow. My granddaughter Mila's 2nd birthday with my son and his wife and our extended family with them. So that's exciting. But I'm in my car right now because I didn't want everybody up there in the room to be chiming in when they hear me talk. So I just wanted to tell you something crazy. All my crazy stories. I'm hoping you enjoy them anyways, because as much as I do, because some of the stuff that happens to me anymore is just like, I don't know. I don't even know how to say it, like remarkable. It shocks me. It just don't seem possible sometimes. It's like, how does this stuff work? I know I've had this gift for off and on for a long time, but it's like, I don't know. I can't even explain how it makes me feel sometimes. Like, it overwhelms me, not like with stress. It overwhelms me with like happiness and joy. And like, it makes me feel good that I'm helping people. So last night I was sitting in my garage. That's where I go to be alone sometimes and hang out, But last night I was sitting in my garage and I thought, I'm going to jump on Facebook and just kind of scroll through and see what everybody's doing. It's Friday night. So what happened was, as I was scrolling through, this picture caught my eye. There was a picture, and it was the group, I think it's called Spirits, Orbs, and something. It's a group I must have got into a long time ago when I did investigations. Well, in a post was this man. I'm not sure how old he was, and he was standing with his grandma. And in the post it says, does anybody, this is my like 86-year-old grandma or what have you, okay? And then he's like, does anybody see anything in this picture? And I don't usually comment too much on Facebook about certain things unless someone asks me a question or whatever on my own Charity Dawn page. But this was on my regular page, right? My personal Charity Wimmer page. So he was asking for anybody who is in that group, what do you see around us? I clicked on that picture because what was so freaking crazy was that I heard this man saying, tell him it's the preacher man. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. And I kept hearing this man say, I'm the preacher man. So I was like, oh gosh, okay. So I commented and I said, okay, I need to ask you this question. I said, I need to know who the preacher man is, ? And then I said, he's making me feel like he's a big time churchgoer, like God and faith was very, very strong in his life, and he's calling himself the preacher man. My phone dings and I have a response, and I'm like, oh my God. So I look, and this man comments to me. He's like, wow, oh my gosh, you're talking about my granddad. And he showed me a picture of his granddad's tombstone, and it says Reverend blah, 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 his name. So what I was seeing was this preacher man around, which would have been his wife, Granny, okay, and his grandson, who was probably, in his late 30s or whatever. And the crazy thing was, I said, there's more I need to say to you, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say it on here because some Facebook groups do not like it when mediums come in. But I'm assuming it's because some mediums say, oh, well, I've got information for you at $5.99 a minute or whatever. I'm not like that. If I see something that catches my eye, I will ask the person, hey, can I ask you a question or whatever? So I did just that politely. And he responded with, wow, you're talking about my granddad, but boom, here's the picture. It says Reverend, his name, right? So I guess this man, I felt I had more to tell him from his granddad. So he said, I said, hey, I've got more to tell you if you want to know more. And so I'm going to just tell you here. He commented again back after I replied to him. He replied back and says, can I please private message you? And I said, yes, you can. And then we went to Messenger. And so I apologized. I said, I'm so sorry that I asked that on Facebook. I probably shouldn't have done that. I said, but I didn't want to reach out through Messenger and you think I was some kind of weirdo or one of them mediums who say they're a medium and they're really like trying to get money from you, like by charging you or whatever. And he said, no, you're fine. He says, I was amazed at what you said and it's crazy. So I said, okay, well, this is what your granddad's telling me. And if you want to hear it, I will tell you. And he said, oh yes, please go. So his granddad was like, go big or go home, son. And I was like, oh my gosh, what does this mean? You know, because I don't have no clue. I don't even know where this man that I'm talking to lives, you know. I have no clue about this man at all. So what happened was, I said, he's telling me go big or go home, son. And I said, I feel like he's telling me that you made like a career change or a move of some kind. You moved. There's something that he's telling me, and he's telling me like he's rooting for you and you're on the right journey. You did the right thing. Like he has your back about this. So this man messages me back and he says, wow. And he says, this is my story. He says, I'm from a small town. After my granddad passed, about a year after my granddad passed, I jumped in a semi and I worked my butt off driving semi 7 months straight. Just driving, making good money. He says, then I just up and moved to Las Vegas. And he says, I wondered, and he said, I've even asked my granddad, like just thinking like, is it okay? Was that the right thing to do? But his granddad was telling me he did the right thing. He needed to get out there and experience more in life and take this new leap of faith and journey, So I was so overwhelmed with like joy and happiness. And I told him, he is like your big cheerleader, this preacher man. He is your big cheerleader and he is like rooting for you. Like he is like your biggest fan and he's around you and your grandma all the time, or I would have never been able to pick him up like that. Like he just came right at me. I'm the preacher man. So I told this man this and he replied again and he says, you just made my day, because I often talk out loud to my granddad and ask him for protection and to help me with choices. And he's like, you just made my damn day. And he sent me a smiley face. So my gift never ceases to amaze me, and neither do our loved ones on the other side. This guy needed to hear this from his granddad, grandpa, whatever. And he told me, he says, I have not been back to my small hometown until last week. So he's been gone for whatever, 2 or 3 years now, or whatever it's been. And he says, I've not been back to visit until last week. And I stopped by to see my grandma. And it's her husband that you were talking about. So that's who I seen standing with him in the picture. I decided after I got off, me and him had an awesome conversation. We now become friends. He lives clear out in Las Vegas. I've never met the man in my life. But he is so down to earth. And I thanked him for being so accepting of my gift, because sometimes people look at me. There's a lot more open-minded people this day and age, thank God. But there has been people who are standoffish about my gift. They feel like it comes from a bad place, and it does not. Do you honestly think a reverend is going to come through and be excited to talk to me and talk to his grandson if it was a bad thing? No. So, what I did for that young man was made his day. He got the reassurance and the validation he needed from his grandpa about moving away. And now me and him are friends. And now we're going to converse. And he's spiritually aware. And he said that, and I told him he could ask me questions. He could drill me, whatever he wants to do, if ever he has any questions. And I'll try to answer them to the best of my ability. And I also told him to pay attention to signs 1111, especially because I feel like that's his number. And he told me he does sometimes pay attention, but he's going to pay more attention now that I put it in his head and told him, watch for the signs. And he says, oh, I do see some signs. And he showed me a video that was so crazy and cool. And what he had just talked about showed up right in front of his face. Not what we just talked about, something he had said about put out in the universe that he wanted to do. And there comes a semi truck right past him and he's recording it. And it says them exact words on the side. So this guy that I met, he actually is spiritually aware and he's working with whatever he's got, intuition or numerology or whatever he decides to do. But he's spiritual. So he believes in that stuff. So I thanked him for being accepting of my gift and understanding my gift and being so open to some stranger giving him a message whom he's never met in his entire life and lives clear across the United States for me. So that made my damn day. And I am so glad that I met this new friend who's across the United States from me. Maybe someday we'll get to say hey or go out to dinner, you know. I don't know, but it was really cool. So I just wanted to share that story with you because when things like that pop up in my life, there's a reason. And his granddad, Reverend Granddad, said to me while I was doing that message for his grandson, we'd gone down to Bob Mackey's, right? And that place, I didn't know at the time before we did the investigation, was supposed to be like the portal of hell. And it was supposed to be this scary, supposedly very, very scary place, which I didn't realize until, we got down there and the girls told me a little bit of what happened there. It played on my mind for like 2 or 3 days after we came back to Portland. It played on my mind so hard. And I thought, and I kept pushing it out. Like, that's not what I felt there. It's not what I seen with my own eyes. That's not what I heard. I felt more mobster vibes. But still, when people put such a negative thing on a place, it weighs on your mind. Like, why would people even think this way at a place like that? What did they experience that I didn't experience? And why were they seeing the negative side and I really didn't see the negative side like that? So I was just a little apprehensive when I came home. Like, I didn't want to think about all the negative stuff people were talking about. So his granddad also gave me a message, which during them 3 days that I was struggling with this Bob Mackey stuff, I kept saying, you believe in God. There's nothing to worry about, Charity. You wholeheartedly believe in God. There's a higher power and you have nothing to worry about. Nothing's coming home with you, blah, blah, blah. His granddad said that to me. And that's what was crazy. His granddad said, Charity, never lose faith because you have a very strong faith. So don't ever lose that because you're protected. You protected yourself with the strong faith you have. So he just reassured me of something that was bugging me for 3 days. Like, what happens if this scary thing they talk about is going to come home with me? He reassured me that's not going to happen. He reassured me, and that was a blessing to me because I needed to hear that. So I thank his granddad for that. I thank this young man for being so open to my gift, and I can't wait to talk to him more and find out what kind of spiritual stuff he does or whatever, So that's just my crazy story for Friday night last night, I guess. And so I just want to share that. I hope you guys are having a good weekend. It's getting cold outside and I'm not ready for this winter stuff. So I guess I just got one more thing to say. And of course, you know what that is. Believe, 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 and always believe in yourself. And listen to your own intuition because our own intuition does not steer us wrong. If you get them gut feelings, go with it. I'm telling you, our guts or our gut feelings tell us things for a reason, to protect us or to help us. So just kind of pay attention to those. Awesome. Have a good Saturday night. Hopefully I'll be on here doing a video again this week. All right. Love y'all. Night.